Yeah, so I think I had a boss once that said, if you want loyalty, get a dog. And his point was that
he sure didn't work in the luxury industry.
Every customer that you have is a customer of your competitor as well.
I think as this data shows, that at some point that cost cutting hurts the experience, and that's what keeps customers away long term.
Yeah. I think if you really can use it to understand that customer and give them something that's relevant to them, that's amazing, and really surprise and delight them, then there is potential that you could influence loyalty. But I think the best way to influence loyalty is actually to say, I've used the data to understand my customer base as a whole and understand where my opportunities are, and I've changed something in the store, or pricing, or the range, or whatever else.
If I'm loyal, I want perks and experience, and they want to be able to forecast predictable sales.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, I don't want you coming at me just to buy something. I want you to come at me with gifts and service and being special, not just coming after my pocketbook.
Welcome to Season 2, Retail Leaders. This is the Retail Razor Data Blades, the podcast that slices through complex retail research to deliver sharp, actionable insights you can use today. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
And I'm Casey Golden. In our last episode, we tackled the great conversion mystery with Gareth Johns from TruRating, uncovering what really stops shoppers from buying and how data can be missed opportunities into revenue wins.
Today, Gareth's back with us to explore the next big challenge, loyalty. Because let's be honest, winning a sale is no longer the finish line. It's really just the beginning. Retail has one of the lowest customer retention rates across industries, and in a world of endless choice, shifting expectations, and rising acquisition costs, loyalty is harder to earn and easier to lose than ever before.
So how do you turn a one-time shopper into a lifelong loyalist? It's not just about points and discounts anymore. It's about experience, personalization, employee engagement, and purpose-driven messaging.
Gareth will share how TruRating's real-time feedback tools are helping retailers measure and refine loyalty strategies down to the store level. We'll hear how 59% of customers return to one retailer simply because of, wait for it, friendly service. That's not a program, it's a person.
We'll also challenge conventional thinking around loyalty programs, explore why traditional email marketing is falling short, and look at how values like sustainability and community are driving repeat business.
Plus, Gareth brings us a real-world example of how one retailer used shopper feedback to solve a friction point that was quietly eroding retention and turned it into a loyalty win.
So if you're a retail executive looking to build deeper relationships, drive repeat visits, and future-proof your brand's loyalty strategy, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, a quick favor. If you're enjoying the show, hit us with a 5-star rating and drop a short review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode.
Plus, check out the other shows in the Retail Razor podcast network. The Retail Razor Show, Retail Transformers, and Blade to Greatness. You'll find them all in your favorite podcast app or together on our YouTube channel.
So let's get into it and raise our data blades and dive into the loyalty playbook with Gareth Johns, Chief Data Officer of TruRating. Welcome back to the Retail Razor Data Blades. Gareth, it's a pleasure to have you back to share more incredible insights from all of your massive consumer data that you and the team at TruRating have pulled together for this 3-part series that we are continuing today. Great to be back.
So, Gareth, today we're talking about a favorite topic of ours on the show, loyalty. And of course, loyalty is not just about winning the sale with the consumer, but after that sale, you want to convert that customer into a lifelong fan of the brand. However, the data tells us that retail has one of the lowest retention rates across industries. So what's going on here? How have shifting customer expectations made loyalty harder to earn and a lot easier to lose?
Yeah, so I think I had a boss once that said, if you want loyalty, get a dog. And his point was that, like,
he sure didn't work in the luxury industry.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think from a retail point of view, if you think about most retailers, as a consumer, if you think about most retailers, there are very few retailers that you are actually loyal to, that you use them and you use them exclusivity. So I think this idea of exclusivity has got wrapped up in loyalty. And I think the expectation is probably a bit high. I think most customers would say if they do go to a single retailer for something, it's probably more a convenience play, or there's one or two out there that, you know, are your favorite brand that you're always going to use and you'd go with. But for most of the retailers that we especially work with, so, you know, you're talking grocery, big box retail, even specialty fashion and footwear, the most you can hope for is to be part of a repertoire of a couple of different brands. So I think the fact that retailers talk about their customers as if they own them is one of the issues at the beginning. Like, every customer that you have is a customer of your competitor as well, right? And what I think we've seen over the last, I was going to say a couple of years. I've been doing this for like 30 years now. So over the last decade, maybe, is, especially if you take grocery for an example, customers are shopping more places. The idea of that kind of, I go to the same, I am a whatever shopper, I go there once a week or once a month and I do a really big shop and that's the only place I go, has just fallen by the wayside. And what our retailers are seeing is actually, I am a part of a repertoire of brands that my customer uses, and my aim is to get as big a part of the pie as I can. So that would be a kind of grocery challenge. If you're in the more kind of fashion footwear, it's, well, I've got the sale, but yeah, how do I get the next sale? And the next sale may not be for another 6 months. Right. So it's more about how many visits can I get in a year rather than is my customer loyal or not loyal?
Yeah. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. It's very, very dependent on product and category. So I want to share an interesting data point that I'm sure some people may be shocked by this, but I suspect many of our regular listeners and viewers are going to say, well, of course, based on past conversations we've had on the show. But you have data that shows that 59% of customers return to one retailer because of friendly service. So why do staff interactions weigh so heavily in this loyalty discussion? What are some of the small behaviors or touch points that store teams can really master to create that emotional connection that gets people to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an interesting one because this is actually a grocery retailer. So
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think in the days of self-checkout, self-scanning, fewest members of staff on the shop floor, like the whole concept, it's become a very depersonalized kind of experience.
Yeah.
What this grocery retailer actually does is they measure 7 or 8 different things that they want to be true for every single customer. One of which is staff friendliness. There's a whole bunch of others that are the things that you'd always expect a grocery retailer to worry about: products on the shelves, queue times at the till, all those kind of things, cleanliness of the store, quality of fruit and veg. There's a lot out there. What we found actually was that if you're looking at, in any one visit, what's the thing that most impacts my likelihood to come back for the next year and how many visits I'll make in the next year, staff friendliness was the most important factor. So it all things matter, but it matters most to customers. That's the thing that drives the majority of them. So if you're going to focus on one thing, that's a really important thing to focus on. And what we found for this retailer, like a lot of others, are focusing on efficiency, right? So how do I cut the number of staff that I've got out there? What's the impact of that? How do I save $1 every time if I can just shave this, shave that? And what I think what this gave them was at least a counterpoint to that, which is, if I shave too far, if I go too efficient, what impact does that have on the long term? It may not impact in the moment. Groceries, I'm not going to go home to my wife and say, somebody was rude to me in the store, so we're not eating tonight. Or, you know, I have only bought half the things you sent me out for. But I think what you will see is that, I might not come back next time.
Right.
I might go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I might start to split my shop a bit more. So, so I think this was it was an interesting insight into what matters for repeat visit and loyalty. And sometimes that's not the same thing that matters for spend in the moment, average basket size, getting that additional item. So I think sometimes retailers get too focused on one and not the other. Yeah. And repeat visits is harder to measure and it takes longer and you've got to track it for longer. So I think it falls by the wayside sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why
that's a great point.
I'd make the point for that additional visit. in a year is worth much more than one additional item.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you want to focus on that lifetime value. And
Yeah.
I think we've said on the show before, in one of our other shows before, that can't cut your way to success by just being extremely efficient. I think as this data shows, is that at some point that cost cutting hurts the experience, and that's what keeps customers away long term.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about loyalty programs. I've heard you say in other places that loyalty programs shouldn't and really just can't replace that great customer experience. What are some of the ways you see loyalty programs need to evolve beyond just discounts, which always seems to be the default for so many loyalty programs?
I mean, loyalty programs is an interesting one because what is the point of a loyalty program? Is it actually to try and drive loyalty, or is it to capture the data that allows you to understand the customer in more detail and therefore deliver them a better experience? So I would say that most loyalty programs are just trying to capture data. They're just trying to understand the customer. And then you can use that data to deliver a better service to customer. And potentially it is a means of communication where you can offer customers relevant rewards and all the rest of it. If you're just thinking that I'm going to use this loyalty program to offer the standard reward to every single customer, and every single customer is going to like that reward, and because I offer this reward, they're actually going to be more loyal, then it's just not a differentiator. Everybody's got roughly the same loyalty program. I think if you really can use it to understand that customer and give them something that's relevant to them, that's amazing, and really surprise and delight them, then there is potential that you could influence loyalty. But I think the best way to influence loyalty is actually to say, I've used the data to understand my customer base as a whole and understand where my opportunities are. And I've changed something in the store or the pricing or the range or whatever else. And that's what's driven loyalty. I don't think loyalty programs actually, in most cases, deliver loyalty. And if you ask customers what they want from a loyalty program, they'll just say discounts.
Right.
That's what they want most. So I guess, I don't know, my view would be if you don't use the data that you get from it, then you can't really expect it to deliver loyalty. And I think too many retailers focus on the fact that their loyal customers spend more. And that's because people who spend more get more benefits out of a loyalty program. Therefore, they sign up.
It's kind of a circular logic there for that. Yeah. I think that maybe the right answer that speaks to is that retailers should really be leveraging the data from the loyalty program to understand what might their customer want that their customer doesn't realize they want, because they're not going to intrinsically ask for it.
Yeah. I feel like the customer's definition of a loyalty program and the retailer's definition of a loyalty program is on opposite sides of the spectrum. They're two different things.
Yeah.
If I'm loyal, I want perks and experience, and they want to be able to forecast predictable sales. You know, I'm like, I don't want you coming at me just to buy something. I want you to come at me with gifts and service and being special, not just coming after my pocketbook.
Definitely.
So storytelling is important for brands to make that emotional connection with consumers. Increasingly align the values with what they want their retail brands to be and stand for and align with those values. How can brands weave ethics, sustainability, and community into their loyalty narrative and tell that story?
Well, I think generally just the idea of differentiating yourself not by just what you sell or how you sell, but actually what you stand for as a brand can be a differentiator. That can be a reason why people choose you over somebody else. And I think what we see from some of our data is that customers do care about things like sustainability. They do care about the ethics of where products have come from, or at least they say they do. And I think in some cases, it does actually lead to a difference in performance, of where somebody would buy. So I think the more you can do that in a way that is consistent with what your actual values are. I think going out and saying you are something when you're not, or the evidence would point to you not being that. You have to be very authentic about this type of stuff. But I think that is a way in which you could offer benefits from a loyalty program that are linked to and fit with those values. And that is a reason why people choose you. Whether you need a loyalty program to do that, or whether you can just stand very strongly for something and make that your differentiator, I guess is another issue. But yeah, we definitely see some of the footwear retailers, definitely more kind of Australia, New Zealand that we've got. They've got a very clear kind of, this is what we stand for, this is what we do, and it seems to work really well for them. So yeah, I think
sometimes
putting your values there.
Just having the brand ask the customer is a big differentiator. right? I mean, I'm willing to answer a few questions if a brand reaches out, or even ask the question at checkout. Could we have done better? Did you get what you needed?
Right.
Versus a company that doesn't ask. Because at least I feel like my experience is important to them. They care about me. They're interested in being better. So I'm going to help out.
Yep.
Versus companies that don't. I think that can go back to a value structure all on its own that differentiates right before I walk out the door.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the questions that we obviously ask lots of questions that are around kind of staff and store experience.
I made mine out.
Yeah, but even the ones that you talked about, there's one thing you kind of learning, does it impact on repeat visits? Does it impact on spend? Am I doing it well? Have I got opportunities to improve it? That's all great from a retailer point of view. I think there is an interesting point that actually by asking the customer about that, you are signaling that it's important to you, that the customer experience is important to you. And you're also signaling to staff that I'm going to ask customers about this. Therefore, it is important to this brand. You've got to live up to it afterwards. You can't just say, I only do this 20% of the time and I only did it 20% of the time last year. So I ask you about it, but I don't really care or I'm not going to do anything. I think if you're going to go out there and make a statement about something like that, you've got to back it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to take some action as a result of learning this information, right? Yeah.
So let's map out the new loyalty playbook for retailers in 15 seconds? How does TruRating enable real-time feedback collection that helps improve loyalty strategies? Can you give us and our audience an example of how a retailer used this feedback to solve a specific friction point that was hurting retention? Sorry to put you on the spot there.
Yep. The way that we do it, we obviously ask a single question at the point of payment. We're really clear that as a customer, you'll never be treated differently based on how you answer that question, and nobody will know who you are. So customer anonymity is really important to us. Customer privacy is really important to us. We're not trying to use questioning as a means to then sell you something in addition. So what we can do, though, with the help of the payment partners, is payment partners can see if the same customer has come back again. So I can tell that when a customer has a friendly experience, how long is it before they return? But I don't know who that customer is. I don't know anything about them. I can't contact them. I can't do anything with them. So we are very focused on, the understanding the drivers of loyalty and understanding the opportunities, as in the locations, the situations, the categories, the shopping missions, where those things can be improved. What we're not into is if I can find out why you didn't have a great experience, I can send you a $5 coupon and hopefully you'll come back. Because that's one, it's not sustainable. You're trying to buy loyalty. Two, customers play it. They know what's going on after a bit. And you
could just click and get it.
Right.
Click,
you just assume you'll get it every time you click that. Yeah.
And you're hearing from everything we do is with a sample of customers. So, at best, you're going to influence 10% of customer base. So from our point of view, it's much more important to understand the underlying factors and deal with those. It's not about trying to rescue the situation for one or two customers. In terms of examples, I think there was obviously the one earlier about friendliness is probably the most pertinent in terms of something that maybe that retailer would not have known otherwise and would not have focused on otherwise. I'm just trying to think of some others that we've had more recently. I think for one retailer recently, what we've actually uncovered is how that brand is perceived really has an impact on loyalty. So if the customer is very interested in fashion, they will be much more loyal to that brand than if they are not. Now, that's a harder thing. You can't suddenly make somebody interested in fashion, but you can understand the differences between different stores in the same retailer as to what's their customer base look like. And therefore, why is it that one's managing to get such a good set of loyal customers and another one has got such a transient base and seems to lose that people are making 2 visits a year versus 4 visits a year to that retailer. Sometimes it's not anything to do with the store. It's not anything that the store manager could have done differently. It's just they happen to be in an area where they've attracted a different type of customer base and that customer base is either loyal or not loyal. So I think there's a lot that you can uncover about customers that helps you know what your headroom is to improve and kind of what the levers are that you can kind of pull to make that improvement.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Casey.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying there's got to be a lot of very interesting data when you're taking a standalone brick and mortar versus a strip mall versus a mall. So from my mall days, whatever movie was playing or launching dramatically impacted store sales.
Yeah.
Because they were wasting
Change your
time
foot
before
traffic.
the movie started.
Yeah. A totally different foot traffic perspective. Yeah.
Like Hollywood's release schedule had a retail impact for every single store in the mall.
Yeah.
But, going to like brick and mortar, a standalone brick and mortar versus a strip mall, like really understanding that ecosystem and the customer base and those habits.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to be diving into your data and slicing and dicing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think the more that we can get, as we start to get rolled out to more and more retailers, I think the idea of understanding spend across different retailers could be really interesting as well. Because the signals that you can get from what a customer does in a fashion retailer aren't huge. You only go a couple of times a year. I buy a white t-shirt. What does it tell you about me? Not very much. But if you can link the fact that I buy these types of in fashion with this is what I buy in the grocery store, you probably can get a pretty good understanding of my view on, ethical foods, healthiness, right? Price sensitivity. Yeah. There's a lot of things I think grocery just is a really rich area for understanding customers. And the more you could use that to then link and say, I can see customer behavior elsewhere. And just even if you had a couple of attributes, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, you could get a lot of new, fresh validation on certain behaviors that you can't really necessarily validate otherwise, but with just the single data points.
Yeah. There's an aesthetic that goes between your refrigerator, your living room, and your closet.
That's right. It really defines you.
So true.
That's right.
I can open up a refrigerator and have a good idea to know what's in the closet. Go walk into somebody's living room. I have a pretty good idea what I can expect for dinner. Or what their closet looks like. Yeah, I think it's very interesting as a lot of those three retail categories generally separated, generally different companies, same customer base. So I think it's really interesting as TruRating can see a customer across and understand those personas. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Gareth, if a retailer wants to improve their loyalty position starting tomorrow, what would you recommend their first move be?
I think stopping thinking about customers as their customers and either they win the customer or they lose the customer. It's probably the first point. Your customer is everybody else's customer. Everybody else's customer is your customer. So it's an ongoing, you're constantly trying to get a slightly bigger piece of the pie, basically. So that's good and bad, right? Like you can lose more of that customer at any point in time, but likewise, you can also gain them back. Or gain more of their spend back. So I don't think loyalty is really I have loyal customers and I don't have loyal customers. I have customers that do a bigger percentage of their share of spend with me than with others. And I have some that are much more of an opportunity to grow. So I think there's a kind of a mind shift thing that's the starting point. And then really it's what you've really got to then understand what are the drivers of why somebody chooses you over somebody else. And that could be the point we've raised that we're talking about around values. It could be just a convenience play. It could be price issue, there's all those things that could impact it. And then I think having a realistic sense of how many visits are you aiming at per year? How many items are you expecting somebody to buy? How many dollars do you expect a customer to spend with you in a year? A lot of the retailers we talk to, it's almost like they haven't thought that. They don't have that idea. They don't know, they haven't thought about it, or they have thought about it and they've set something that's just massively unrealistic from where they are right now. I want every single customer to spend $300 a year with me and I want them coming in every month. So I think getting to a point of understanding where you are now and knowing what's a realistic goal to aim at and then how you get there. Would probably do my two things.
Growing LTV and lowering CAC are two completely different things. And I feel like the last 5 years minimum, everything has been around CAC, customer acquisition costs. And like sitting there, I'm like, if you can't take care of what you got, why are you going to go get more to underserve? Just focus on the customers that you have and grow that pocket share. Then bring more in because you'll know what to do with them. But you're right. A lot of brands, a lot of retailers just have put that LTV discussion and those KPIs on the back burner when in many cases over the last 5 years, we've had a lot of companies trying to get out of the red And I know I've been a broken record. I know a lot of our guests have been a broken record, is you can't cut costs into the green. You can just customer your service your way out of it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Well, and I think to the point about the loyalty programs can give you the data to understand the LTV, right? Like that is if there was one thing of loyalty programs, that's the one thing they can do. They can tell you, now you've just got to make sure that almost every single customer is a loyalty member and that you're not kind of kidding yourself because you're focused on this small group of customers that visit you so often that they've taken your loyalty card and they use it regularly, and therefore you think the loyalty program is the reason that they come and all you've got to do is sign up more customers. But I think if you can use the loyalty program or other methods to really understand your LTV, then you can figure out what to do to kind of grow it as well.
Well, Gareth, this has been such a great discussion, and I always love diving into loyalty. So much impactful data-driven insights that you've shared with us today.
Yeah, it's really been a pleasure chatting with you on this topic. I know I'm looking forward to the next one. Looking forward to it too.
Awesome. Well, Ricardo, I'd say that this episode is a wrap.
Yes, I think it is.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Good Pods. And don't forget to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube so you never miss an episode. I'm Casey Golden.
We'd love to hear from you. Follow us and share your feedback at Retail Razor on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for highlights from every episode, and visit retailrazor.com for transcripts and more details about our guests. Data Blades is part of the Retail Razor Podcast Network. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay sharp, be data-driven, and harness AI. This is the Retail Razor Data Blades.